Hey everyone, it is Shannon and I'm here today to do a bookshelf organization update because last week I did a discussion video before I started doing my bookshelf organization, and now I have started. I'm in a different location. This is my bookshelf that's actually dedicated to film and TV and also art supplies, and will also be sketchbooks and some other stuff. But before I get into what goes where, I wanted to just say thank you to everyone who watched and commented on my first video. It was really interesting to hear your suggestions and how you deal with your books and how you organize your books and the read versus unread and what you keep and what you don't keep and the different parameters for what's a keeper, whether it's a reread, whether it's the star rating, whether it's something that you reference, whether it's something that you love, whether it's something that is unique or unique to you or has memories. I think it's really interesting and helpful to think about these things and to clarify what it is that makes it a keeper. I'm still struggling with that big time. I thought I wasn't, and I did do Instagram stories last weekend of a wall. I was going through stuff. I was gonna vlog it, but it just ended up being too hard, and there's something really nice about Instagram stories. Like, I don't feel like I feel like I can just share like more raw, like what's going on, as opposed to having to plan it out. And when things don't, turn out, like you can just be like, ah. Yeah, so anyway, so I shared some of that on Instagram stories last weekend. One of the big challenges I did have when I started working on it is that I ran out of time and I ran out of energy. I really thought I would be able to do it, especially because it was a long weekend. That was totally not the case. I spent one day sort of like gathering, like pulling from storage. Like, I just have a little storage area, and pulling out what I wanted from storage and then putting away the very few things into storage, which probably should have been a bit of a red flag, or at least an indicator that, hey, I am taking out like 100 books here and putting back 2. Guess what's gonna happen? I'm gonna have more books and shelves. Oh my god, light bulb. Anyway, so yeah, so that happened. So I spent one day just sort of shifting things, and then I spent the second day trying to organize things, and I only got so far. On Monday, even though it was a holiday, Monday was a regular day for me. Like, I had to do my regular Monday things, so I didn't end up having any extra time. And then I got really miffy because I'm like, wow, this is a holiday weekend, and I spent so much time doing all this stuff. I didn't I knew, like, because of COVID, like, we're not like going out and barbecuing or whatever, although people did. Oh my gosh, people were windows open, barbecue. But anyway, like, I just mean it's a different, anyway, the takeaway was, I don't know what the takeaway was. I should have gotten takeout. I should have gotten delivery. Anyway, so it didn't go as to plan, but that's okay. There were definitely things that worked. I was able to, my TV stuff was fine. I can show you sort of just a little bit. If we just look up high there. I only have 2 shelves for film and TV. So I have my favorite series, film and TV, and then some individual favorite movies. And so I just replaced out, one for the other. And so that was really simple. And I was able to gauge exactly how much space I had. So I was actually, I can't remember what went in. Battlestar Galactica went in to storage because it's now on Amazon Prime here in Canada. And I pulled out Burn Notice. I was just feeling like watching Burn Notice. I've seen it all. And then I also pulled out The Hollow Crown, which I've seen, which is Shakespeare adaptations, and Twitch City, which I haven't seen, which is a Canadian show. And I just had a feeling it might be a fun one right now. And it's nice to have, I think it's a shorter show too. I'm not totally sure on that, but it was a CBC show. Most CBC comedy-ish shows are half an hour. Currently I'm watching Kim's Convenience, which I am absolutely loving. The normalcy and Toronto-ness of it is just making me so happy, but I'm almost done. So when I'm done that, I'll probably switch to Twitch City. Anyway, so that was the big success, because it's like I took out, like, a 1.5 foot worth of movies, and I put back a 1.5 foot worth of movies or DVDs. So anyway, so that worked. What else worked was I decided to put my photographs All of my photos were sort of like in this sort of bin, and I'm like, this does not make sense for it to be here, just there. So I decided to give them a spot on the shelf, and they didn't take as much room as I thought I would, and I combined them with some of my journals, because they actually didn't take up a whole shelf. And so that was really nice to get that away, because those are like individual mementos of different parts of my life, and they're irreplaceable. Like, they really are. Like, so I can't go back and be that age in that space with those people. So I felt like it was nicer to have a spot on the shelf for them, for something that was individual and unique and personal and meaningful. And so that really worked. And putting them with the journals worked. And so they're just like on a bottom shelf, and they're heavy, and so that's good. That was one thing I was not expecting, is that there was going to be some practical limitations on some of the choices of book placement. And for that, I mean, I needed to fill the bottom shelves. Like, it's okay to leave the top shelves open or opener, but the bottom shelves should have stuff on them, and heavier stuff on them, or at least heavy stuff shouldn't be on the top shelves unless there's heavy stuff on all of them. So I did dedicate one shelf to sort of nicer editions, and they're more heavier hardback kind of stuff, and I put them all together, and I wanted to put them like on the fourth top, and I was like, nope, that makes no sense. They need to go on a lower shelf. So I was not super happy with that, but then I found them a home, and that was okay. And now I'm not sure if it's a great spot, because they're also sort of in the path of sunlight, and they are nicer editions, so it would make sense if they were somewhere that was a little darker. But I don't really want to do that, because there is a shelf I could switch them to, but the shelf is just like a little too short, and it would mean literally moving everything from the bottom two shelves of the two bookcases and switching them, and I don't really feel like doing that. So I might just leave the curtain a little closed, or maybe give the shelf its own curtain. I'm not sure. I pushed the books to the back, so there's like the least, sun on them. And this week I didn't open the curtain all the way, but I like opening the curtains. Like, I want to enjoy the sunlight. As you can see, I have the curtain open now. So anyway, so yeah, so there were some practical considerations, like that, that I wanted heavier books on the bottom shelf, and you don't want the bottom shelves open. So it's like, yeah. So anyway, so I actually hit a bit of a standstill too with my books. I decided that I'm going to use 6 shelves for books, 1 for books I finished this year, so that worked. And then I had the 1 for nicer editions, and then I had 2 for fiction, 1 for nonfiction, which leaves me 1 only shelf for unread books, and that's not feeling like enough. So I'm not sure what to do. I'm really not sure what to do. So I've decided to put the books a bit aside. I also couldn't get as many back on the shelves that I wanted to, in terms of the read books. I don't like how it looks. And then I feel weird that the visual appearance of it is affecting my decision. But it's like, of course it is, because, I'm not, like, this isn't, I don't know, like, it just, I don't know, I'm struggling. I'm literally struggling, and I thought I was like really keen on my decisions of series. I'm gonna have a series shelf, and I'm gonna have Shakespeare, and I'm gonna have a nonfiction shelf, and that's how, but then I didn't leave room for fiction at all, which doesn't work. I'm struggling. But one thing that was good to remember is that just because they're not on the shelf doesn't mean I have to get rid of them. I do have a little space for storage, and I can rotate out my books, and I do that twice a year. Like, that's what I'm going through right now. So, like, it's not the end. It's not on the shelf or out the door. Like, there's lots in between. So one thing I did figure out with my series shelf, because it got full fast, is that I pushed back half of the series. So for some of the series, like for Twilight, I pushed back Breaking Dawn and Eclipse. because I didn't like those books that much, and especially Breaking Dawn. But like Twilight and New Moon are the two that I really love, so I wanted them in the forefront. And like just having those two on my shelf is enough for me to know that I have them, and so I can, you know, access the other ones. They're just behind it. They're just pushed behind. And I might do the same for Harry Potter. I might put the first 4 in the front and then push back 5, 6, 7. Because I really just need to know this is where my Harry Potter books are, and it's okay if they're double stacked. Like I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, so anyway, so I'm getting closer with that, but I decided to switch gears, which is why I'm in this location, because I think the next thing for me to do is to go through these shelves, because not only does it have my art supplies and stuff, and it's gonna have my knitting, but you can't see, I'll just point you to the floor. So it also, so this is the state of things here. These are a bunch of sketchbooks and nonfiction books. And, you know, see, it was sewing and supernatural because, yep. And then behind them on the actual shelf is art books. And then I do have a small 2-shelf bookshelf over there that has knitting, cooking, magazines, knitting magazines, stuff like that. So I think for me, that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears and work on this area because, one, I really need this space for other things. I need the floor space, so I can't leave it messy like this. And half of there's a good whole stack this tall of like sketchbooks that are under the phone. So there's a lot of sketchbooks. But yeah, so I want to see if I can fit this stuff on the shelf and or if there's any more space for books. Probably not because this is full. But I wanted to have some of my nonfiction out here, some of my sort of like practical nonfiction, like knitting, sewing, art, and TV for seconds because it's near the TV. I have a couple of film books, not tons, but I have a couple of film books. And so they might end up here or they might end up in with the plays with drama, so I'm not sure. So I think that's what I thought is I'll work on this space and see if there's enough room for what I want to have out here and if everything's going to fit out here, or does some of the stuff have to migrate, or can some of that stuff migrate here? So that's the idea. I'm really struggling with I have so many sketchbooks or journals where I have started but not finished, and I'm like, the amount that I haven't, paper, I think it's at least, it's probably, I don't know, it's at very least half and half. I thought I had all of these empty sketchbooks and notebooks, and it's like, nope. And I do feel kind of like I don't want to just put them on the shelf of like journals if there's like, 75% blank pages. But it does feel weird to dive back into a sketchbook like 5, 10, 12 more years later. I don't know. I'm going to do it though. Like I think for me, one of my 101s is to my 101 things in 1001 days. One of that is to finish 5 sketchbooks. And I'm like, I could just continue on old ones. I don't have to start to finish them. So that might be some inspiration there. We'll see. And I also just really want to get my art supplies out of these baskets because it's not usable at all, like to have it like that. Like it's just a mess and it's really, really not making me happy. But I have to get a little clearer on what do I want to be accessible here? Like what do I want to, because I have another one that's closer to where I actually do art. So this is more for books, open sketchbooks and notebooks, reference works, like reference titles, knitting reference. I would like to get some knitting yarn. Like I would like to put this away there, but if it has to be somewhere else, that's okay. I pulled out a bunch of yarn, different yarns. I love this variegated one. Oh, greens and blues. Because I picked out some patterns. Would you like to see? I have them here. So, and I have more yarn. And this one too, I have no idea about this one because it's like varsity stripes. Anyway, but I picked out 2 sweater patterns that I want to try. This is one. And so I think I could work this one with a combination of, I think this is what I was thinking. Alternating the variegated with the white. I think that would look nice. It's worth a shot. I have to check the gauge and all that jazz and make center pole balls, and like I haven't done anything. These are going to be my knitting projects for the next good long while. So, oh, did I lose the page? Maybe it's this one. Yeah, for the next good long while. So that's why I want to be able to put them away, is because, I'm in the middle of one sweater and another pair of socks. So I'm not necessarily getting to this tomorrow, but these are the knitting projects I want to do for the foreseeable future. And then I also want to try this sweater. It is a dolman sleeve. And I think you start on the sleeve and go this way. It's a little hard to tell. And I haven't, these are both from Vogue Knitting. And I've never finished a pattern from Vogue Knitting before. So I also would like to do that. And this one though, actually that small one's quite good in terms of understanding it. So this one I can't remember. I think when I was reading the pattern, I was not understanding it very well. Like, I don't like when patterns say, for the non-knitters, this might not make any sense, but sometimes the patterns say like, okay, so we're going to do the decreasing for the sleeve, so every 4th row reduce by 2. And then it'll say, at the same time, reduce for the collar by every 6th row, reduce by 3. And I'm like, why don't you just say reduce by, like, why don't you actually just say that all at one time? Because otherwise you have to actually figure out the 2 different steps in conjunction with each other. Why don't you just say knit 2 rows, decrease by 2, knit 1 row, decrease by 1, knit 2 rows, decrease by 2, or whatever the actual pattern is. I'm like, I end up rewriting all patterns. Like, I just rewrite them all because I find often patterns, how they're described, I don't understand them. So often when I'm doing something new, I do it and I have to pull it out, and I do it and I rip it, and it's just like whatever. So even the dolman sleeve one, I might like read the pattern. I don't remember if I tried reading it already. And if I don't understand it, I actually might just try and create it from the picture. I might just try, because I think it starts at the sleeve, and if I can figure out what a technical drawing of a dolman looks like and know that it's gone this way, I might just see if I can just figure it out and just I don't know. I have no idea. So anyway, but that yeah, so I need a home for my yarn to do that. I think the other one that's the V's, what's that called? Herringbone kind of? Is it not technically? I don't think it's technically. It's chevrons. That one I think will be more simple in terms of once you understand the pattern. It's pretty square, like the shape of the thing. It's the sweater itself. So once you understand the pattern, hopefully it won't be too bad. I might alter that pattern and do it in the round and do the front and the back at the same time, because I absolutely hate seaming, and I'm not very good at seaming, and you spend so much time, especially with a pattern like that that's quite detailed, you spend so much time getting it right, like getting the chevrons or the pattern right, that to have a crappy side seam is just ridiculous. So I might just alter the pattern and do it in the round. I'll have to look and see how much shaping there is in terms of the shoulder seam, and see if that would be an effect or what. I don't know. So anyway, those are my very lofty ideas for potential. So I'm like, my knitting's right here. Should I show my knitting since it's right here? I'm doing a sock right now. It's turned into, I don't want to talk about bookshelf organization because it didn't go very well. So I'm doing a sock. I'm very, very happy with how this is going. I just have to finish off the toe. Turned out quite well, and this time around I actually figured out how to do the heel flap. Well, actually my heel flap looks crappy. It looks nothing, I don't know why it looks like it's ribbed. Well, I do know why. It's because I knit a bit strangely. I can't remember if it's my knits or purls are weird, but I think there was a lot of slip stitching, and I gotta say the teachers did not look like it was ribbed. It doesn't look bad, and she says it's strong, so I'm gonna believe her, but I don't know why it looks like that. Anyway, and this is a pattern on Creative Bug. I actually really like the fact that it is like a bobby sock pattern, like it's just an ankle sock. The pattern itself has a pom-pom, which I'm not gonna do, but because I'm just doing it to learn the basics of the sock. And I think and this time, even though I didn't do the heel flap very well, I figured out how to do the heel. Like, I understood the math on how you turn, is it turning the heel? And then the picking up the stitches. It actually made sense to me, so I'm like, yes. And that was the goal, because I got out more sock yarn. Got out a bunch of sock yarn so that I can make some socks. And some of this is actually true sock yarn. I usually use thicker yarn, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing that and understanding how socks work. So socks and sweaters, tops and bottoms. I guess, is going to be the plan for knitting. This ended up being slightly like a knitting update. What else do I want to talk about? Yeah, no, I don't think I wanted to talk about too much. I wanted to shape up this area, and I think I'm going to work on the books portions of it first, the books and the sketchbooks, and see how that goes, and then do the art supplies, because I think the art supplies will take up sort of, I don't know, maybe I should do the art supplies first. The first thing I should do, as always, is clarify what's important to me and what I want to keep and what's okay to let go of and what I want to be accessible right now. So that's actually the first step, is clarifying my goals, as always, of course, and then moving forward on that. I do really need to get stuff off the floor here because I need the floor space, so that's a goal. So hopefully this weekend I will at least get this section done, but I'm going to try and treat this weekend as a faux long weekend. I know it's a long weekend in the States, but because I spent so much time last week working on this, I ended up not really doing anything for the long weekend. So I had my grocery order this week, and I picked up some burgers, and so and then it's funny, I got the burgers, but then the buns I got ended up being dinner rolls. Which is totally fine. I was like, any rolls or buns are fine in terms of the substitutions. It's really great that PC Express lets you do specific substitutions. And so I ended up getting dinner rolls, so I guess I'll have sliders. I guess I can make chop the the hamburgers up. Oh, it'll be fine. So anyway, so yeah, I plan on having like a burger and a salad and a movie and just enjoying, maybe even a new movie would be nice. But just sort of having some holiday, spirit, given that last week I was exhausted from doing all of the shifting and stuff. So yeah, so that's how the organization is going. I hope that's interesting. I know this is more talky than more showy, but I'm working up to doing vlogs again. I haven't done vlogs on this phone yet, so I didn't want to chance it with this video, but I am going to test that with something else that I'm doing. So hopefully I will get back to vlogging proper. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so let me know how you are doing. Do you run out of energy, or do you just push through to the end? I used to do that, but I can't anymore because, life. And yeah, so hopefully art supplies and sketchbooks will get a new home, and art books and supernatural books because, TV goes with sewing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and all the knitting too, let me know. Are you knitting anything? Sweaters, knitting sweaters in the summer. Nothing in life makes sense now. It's okay, it's all good. I'm looking forward to trying those out and getting, I find it fun and engaging, but it can be frustrating. Sometimes you're just like, I just want to understand a pattern. Every once in a while I'm like, can I just understand it, please? I did with the sock pattern. So I did that. I got that covered. It's all okay. I'm wrapping this up. Thank you for watching, and I will share more as I hopefully make some more progress this weekend. We shall see. Thanks for watching.